Hi, I'm Jamie Ray and welcome to Animation. This semester, I'm teaching animation, digital photo art, and advanced photo and studio art. My background includes a bachelor's degree in art education and painting from the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, as well as getting a master's in interdisciplinary art from Columbia College in Chicago and in teacher leadership from Elmhurst College. In my spare time, I enjoy working on illustrations, which include working with watercolors and colored pencils, sewing, as well as volunteering, riding motorcycles with my husband, and enjoying our dog, Missy. This semester, my plan is 4 objectives or goals. The first one would be ideation. Students will learn how to stage the creative process and to learn to work with the advice given by peers and teachers through critiques. This has application to real-life skills in that students will understand how to develop a product or project and to do so incorporating feedback. Craft technique and aesthetics. Students will learn techniques, craftsmanship, and what it means to complete something well. This has application to real-life skills in that students will learn what steps are necessary to complete something that can be presented and shared as a finished product. Visual communication. Students will learn how to view art, discuss art, interpret art, and produce art with meaningful content. This applies to real-life skills in an age when visual images have great prominence through television, the internet, and other forms of media. And finally, self and cultural awareness. Students will see how art has cultural worth and value as they study examples from past and contemporary cultures in relation to class projects. Students will be encouraged to see how continued involvement in the visual arts to any extent will bring value to their own lives and continued experiences. What I wanted to do is to highlight the animation software that I plan to use this semester. We're actually starting out using either Adobe Animate, or for students that cannot access Adobe, there's something called Wik Editor. All of the students that are enrolled in this class have free access account to all of the Adobe programs. However, there are some students that cannot access the programs depending on the device that they are using or how much storage or memory they have on their device. So I will always try to come up with an alternative program for students to use. Instead of using Photoshop this semester, students will use Photopea, and I also will use Adobe Premiere and Adobe After Effects in replace of those programs. Right now, I'm looking at something called Clipchamp. So what we have begun to do is I've had students look at 4 of the 12 animation principles, those being arc, stretch and squash, timing, and slow in and slow out. We've talked about these a little bit, but now I have actually had students attempting to demonstrate those, both with a bouncing ball and using their name. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So here's an example of the finished product. Students, like I said, are going to use Adobe Animate or they will use Wik Editor. At this time that I am recording this video, we have just begun the process. Students will use a template behind, and then using either one of the programs, they will be asked to demonstrate the bouncing ball or their bouncing first or last name. And again, demonstrating arc, stretch and squash, timing, the idea between fast and slow and how many frames per second their animation is running at, and then the idea of slow in and slow out. While I'm actually on the Canvas page, why don't I show you where I have posted things and how I'm going to use Canvas this semester. So if you go to our front page or home page, there's 3 things I'd like to point out. One is if they need to get a hold of me in the mornings, they can click on the Zoom icon Tuesday through Friday. The other thing is the grading syllabus. So I'm going to click on that. So this animation is a beginning level course. Students will learn basic skills and key concepts involving digital capture and illustration through the creation of traditional 2D and CG animations. Learning will be geared toward tools and basic techniques using industry standard software in Photoshop, Premiere, Animate, and Adobe After Effects. No previous skills or computer skills are required. I'm going to scroll down to the grading. So the semester coursework is going to include projects, practice exercises, and reflections or critiques. I'm going to break down the coursework into two categories. The summative, or the projects, will be graded. The formative, which will be the practice exercises, will be ungraded. The other thing I thought might be interesting is if I show you examples of past student work, so you can see some visual examples of what I hope to accomplish this semester. Students are going to be asked to the best of their ability to draw using Adobe Animate or this WIC editor. But let me just show you an example of some of the projects that have been done before with the note cards.
Shut up and sit down.
So my objective is probably to get them to draw maybe 40 frames and then to add some music and a title page. This is not a drawing class, although I do give them tips on how you can find images to draw from. And of course, you know, being on the computer, doing the best we can with drawing. I did suggest to them, if they have a mouse, to use that because it makes aiding and moving and drawing a little bit easier. So that's the first project. And then an example of rotoscoping. So rotoscoping is where you bring in a video and you draw over the video. So I'm going to show you something that I did last year. And for this project, I have used Photoshop. I'm not sure yet which programs we will use if you don't have access to Photoshop, but I'm in the midst of figuring that out. Again, this is a frame-by-frame process. So in this process, students are adding to the video frame by frame. So we've got the traditional drawn and then rotoscoping. And then I like to give each student a sound bite from a movie. And for this project, I have used Adobe Animate. And students not only draw and come up with an original character, but then they have to include the mouth movements to match up with the sound bite. And then in an additional challenge, I like them to create a secondary action with something that's tweening or moving in the background. So I'll show you that.
You shall not pass!
I'm Batman.
Say hello to my little friend! Get to the chopper!
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Royale with cheese.
Exchange, you filthy animal.
Here's Johnny.
Man, I'm walking here! I'm walking here! You can't handle the truth!
I am your father.
It's alive! It's alive!
Clever girl.
Wax on, wax off.
And then moving on from the dialogue or lip sync, I usually go into Adobe After Effects where I have the students practice more of kind of a motion graphics. Here's an example of that. And then following the motion graphics, we lastly then will go into a lyric typography project.
I know the world's a broken bone, but melt your head.
And then if there's time, in the spring, students started to look at game coding and designing. And we used a online program called Scratch. So if there's time, it'd be fun to get into that. So that just gives you a highlights of my plans and where we're going for the semester. I'm really looking forward to a great semester. If at any time you have a question or concern, please email me.